up thinking that one day we would do something to help Mexico and the problems that it was facing. I used to think that the only way to do this was through government or politics. So growing, I would research a lot about this. But the more I grow up and understand and research, the more I would lose hope. So at some point I thought that this was like an immature dream coming from me, that I could never help Mexico or see a change. So I started dreaming to go to work to another country and just live there and do my life there. But in 2017, I lived a really hard time. And in the midst of this, I got closer to God through a missionary organization called Y1. At Y1, one of their main focuses is working with indigenous communities. And I must admit that before this, I didn't know that Mexico had such a big population of indigenous communities and the unfortunate reality that they live. So I dedicated the next few years of my life to work near from them, to heal, to understand, to learn, and try to know more the big picture that Mexico was immersed and see how I could help. But in 2021, I met a young Otomi guy that through knowing his story and the reality that he was living, the history of his family, and the background of his own community, and what he was dreaming for, I could see the speed that I was looking for of what could help Mexico to grow. This guy is my partner, Ramses, who is there in the tasting, along with my sister that we do this project together. So, let me paint you this great picture of the reality of these communities. And let's do it through crop that is one of their main activities, and this time we will do it through coffee crops. So let's situate 8 hours from here, where you need to take a traveling of 3 to 4 hours on path road, where the edge of this is a cliff. A community that could barely have signal 1 year ago, and when there is a storm, we cannot have internet or connection with the world. So now we will talk about the main part of their life, that is work. The life of a coffee farmer starts at 4 a.m. to have enough time for breakfast and get to their crops before sun comes out. They need to walk 1 or 2 hours to get to the crops, and once they are there, they work several hours under the sun. After those hours, it's time to take their journey back home to be there at 6 p.m. But now these 2 hours walking, they would do it with 40 kilos over the backs, hiking. And for what? Well, no more than just to survive. With less than the minimum amount of salary in Mexico of $100 to $300 for a month. More than 12 hours of working reduced from a message of multimedia companies to the payment saying, you're worthless. But what happened when these people dreamed to having a better life so that their kids could go to school or even build a house that would not be destroyed with every storm, or just having enough savings for medical expenses? But now how they would do it? There's no opportunities where they live, and less in the city, aside from cartels. I'm not going to get into politics or debates, but it's only natural that these people that live and suffer all of this will dream to go one day and work in another country where it seems to be opportunities for them and their families. But what happened when they leave? They cannot come back when they want. They can just come back until they have fulfilled their goal. And sometimes this goal lasts 5 or 8 years. But now, what happened with the wives? Well, sometimes the flesh is weak and they get involved in adultery. And the product of this is a baby that is exterminated or given away. And even these babies could be involved in human trafficking. But now let's analyze young people. Cartels know the reality of them, and they will come to them as an opportunity of a better life without the need of the education that they could never have, with easy money and even to be able to help their families. They are pretty young, sometimes pretty young, and they will take this opportunity because their own parents. They are young and they will not think in all the consequences. And sometimes they are mad with the world that looks unfair to their parents. So they take these opportunities. So this is something that we have seen with our own eyes with children. Children stop playing with balls to be one day a soccer player, a cape to be one day a superhero, or even uniforms to be one day a doctor or a policeman. For now taking guns and playing to be a drug trafficking. This is a reality. To be the bad one in the story of everyone else, but the good one in their own stories. But this is a reality that not just me or my team or the community that we work with says this. It's the news, statistics, and numbers. According with national and even U.S. studies, organized crime in Mexico has increased the last 8 years 64% and 85% in extortion, with the result that since 2015 to 2022, the deaths related with organized crime has increased 190%, 23,500 people dead per year. Also, the same news in the study says that the cartels are the 5th main employers in Mexico. And the only way to avoid this is to not allow it anymore the recruitment, because they recruit 350 people per week. But how will we avoid recruitment? Okay, if the story I told you before and the numbers haven't given you an idea, maybe this will give you. We will talk about numbers of coffee in Mexico. Mexico is one of the main producers of coffee in the world. And 70% of this coffee comes from indigenous communities. But there are 3 main companies that control the market of coffee in Mexico. They are foreigners. They put the price in 2023 of the coffee of 1 kilo for the indigenous community of 5 pesos. 5 cents of dollar. And they do contracts with these communities to make them the slaves of their system. The coffee farmers and even the farmers, they are the worst paid in the world, and they stay always in extreme poverty. Even these companies, they promote monocultives, which destroys our flora and fauna. Also, they use really harmful agrochemicals that destroys also all our land that in some point are not going to be fertile anymore. And they use extreme amounts of water, but also we drink that coffee. And these companies make marketing saying that they help indigenous communities. But for the chair on the top of this, we will compare the salary of one of the main executives of these corporatives that rich themselves abusing from the coffee farmers. So while one of these executives earns $10 million per month, a coffee farmer $100 per month. So when I realized of this reality, and my partner told me this, coming from one of these communities that live and suffer this reality, and what he was dreaming for, my heart started to burn. He decided to be the on-bridge of commerce that his community and the communities around needed to stop all these problems. So in 2021, we started Cafe and Sad, along with my sister, with the only goal to be a fair bridge of commerce with all of these communities and help in these problems that Mexico was facing. But I'm not telling you all of this to be a superhero or like that you will feel bad about Mexico. It's to encourage you to do the same in your businesses or even as someone that consumes. If you're a business owner, you can check if you have fair trade with the people that give you, or even with the people that you pay the salary. Or if you just consume, you can buy locally or inform yourself of what's behind of all the businesses that you buy for. So we, as society, are the ones who can change the reality of Mexico, not the government. us. You can actually see it in my last TED talk, how this model of economy changed the reality of a society. So just for anything, I want to let you know that this reality is not just for coffee. It's with avocado, with berries, with food, with beans, and just God knows what else. Agriculture and cartels, two words that are not related in the dictionary, but in Mexico, they are. Thank you.